Allow me to introduce myself. I'm the player to be named later. This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 381 of the O The Anthem podcast, coming to you from all over LA. But Corey is there, still slowly gentrifying LA neighborhood by neighborhood. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening on your podcatcher of choice. The easiest way, anchor.fm/O The Anthem.
That's absolutely
right. We have much to talk about and little time in which to do it. So
Yes.
Let's get right on into it. The first order of business, Republicans, believe it or not, are actually finally starting to come around on vaccinations this week.
As we talked about last week, though, Fox News is now come around on vaccinations. So, of course, the Republicans are now going to come around on vaccinations.
Well, I mean, it was kind of half-hearted by Fox News when it happened. Like, it was Hannity who said, like, please get vaccinated. Talk to your doctor. It's safe. You'll appreciate that you did it. And then it was followed more this week with Steve Scalise saying to go get vaccinated. Fucking Huckabee Sanders had an article in an Arkansas paper about getting vaccinated. She called it the Trump vaccine, but whatever. Fuck, if people get vaccinated, I don't give a shit what they call it. As long as it's an actual vaccine and not just some like thing that Trump's selling on his website, like mineral water or something like that.
Well, wait, we're going to talk about like Mike Lindell in a bit, so just hang on.
I mean, like, what was the what's his face? Oh God, the InfoWars guy. Like the frogs are turning gay.
Alex
Jones. Wasn't he selling crystals and supplements and stuff like that too?
He was, and he got sued.
And I think Rush was doing it too. He's just like, these supplements are the one that keeps me alive and stuff before he died.
Who?
Rush Limbaugh.
Oh yeah, he's dead. Fuck him.
But it seems like all of a sudden Republicans have an interest in keeping people who would be voting for them alive. So
you think that's the math they did? Like, listen, if we don't do something, the Dems are just gonna win because everybody's gonna be dead.
I mean, I don't know what I don't understand the calculus of allowing people that support you to die. I mean, like, you know, like it's the same thing with like the Tucker Carlson thing. Like, I assume he just feels like new people will come in and fill in the, like, because members of Tucker's audience have to die every day, right? Like, there's like some 97-year-old batty grandma who's listening to Tucker every night who quietly passed last evening. And, you know, she's just got to get replaced by like, you know, some 15-year-old member of American History X or something like that. So, like,
I was going to say, like, there's new white supremacists born every day. So I mean, there's an audience that's coming.
There's a drop off and then a pickup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think maybe the Republicans are coming around to the idea that this is affecting them too. No matter how much you say it's a hoax, it seems to affect you still. So maybe everyone should just get the vaccination.
I mean, we're gonna talk about this in COVID, but maybe everybody should just stay the fuck inside, and then it doesn't matter. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I mean,
I got a lot of anger.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem is that, like, you know, people who don't give a shit are going to not give a shit wherever the fuck they want to.
Yep.
Until the point where, like, you know, the government says you can't travel unless you've had a vaccine or something like that, which, you know, you have to do if you're traveling to Europe. You have to show you have vaccinations, not just for COVID, but for, like, you know, measles and mumps and rubella and stuff like that. So
right.
I don't know. Like, I think it's the about faceness of the hey, everyone go get vaccinated is what's making me think that some of these people might know something that we don't know. Making me think that there's like we're a month away from death numbers in Arkansas, the likes of which we've never seen.
Oh, I would guarantee that 100%.
And that perhaps Sarah Huckabee Sanders is trying to say, like, no, I told people to get vaccinated. Look, it was in the paper and everything. You know, like,
I ran an ad.
I called it the Trump vaccine and everything. Like the minute that she's not useful for Trump, he's not gonna like fucking run her over with a bus.
I don't understand people. They're so loyal, but he just does not care. He will fuck you over.
Like his kids will get fucked over. It's like, you know the minute that some indictment comes from the whole Weitzelberg thing that leads to Trump getting, you know, like tax evasion charges put against him or something like that. You know, like the first thing he's gonna do is like, Eric did it. I didn't sign any of these checks.
Listen, I wasn't even part of the Trump empire for 4 years. This is all Eric and Junior is doing. I don't. You meant to put a junior on this, I think. Yeah.
He fraudulently signs my name all the time. I don't know why.
There's a stamp, actually. It's a stamp, and you stamp my name, and I didn't see any of these. I have no idea.
I sent
no recollection.
You would think I really sign 10,000 checks a day? That's a Don Jr. job. Get the fuck out of here.
Yay.
But yeah, I don't understand. Like, maybe all this going back is not going to help either. Did you see the interview that was done of the guy on his COVID deathbed, basically, who was just like, it's all government conspiracy to make us take the vaccine, shove it in our face. And then he was just, the interviewer was just like, well, Steve Scalise got it today. And it's just like, yeah, of course he did. He's in it too. It's like, I mean, that doesn't make you more likely to get it. And it's just like, no, it's like, I mean, you're in the hospital with COVID right now. You don't want the vaccine. It's like, no, trying to shove the science in my face. Like,
the number one thing that nurses are saying people are asking right before they get intubated is okay, I'll do the vaccine now.
Yeah.
Like, too late.
Yeah.
Too late. Sorry.
I just don't. I mean, the problem is that anyone who I could convince to get the vaccine is not going to get is not going to be convinced in this setting. Like on the podcast, listening to me, the people who are listening are probably already vaccinated, unless they're hate listening. And at which point I'm not going to get through to them because they just are hating what I'm saying. So like, I don't really have like influence over somebody as to whether or not they get vaccinated. I would strongly suggest it if you are hate listening, just get it. And like, you can continue to hate me for longer than just right now.
100%.
Like,
I would actually, I shouldn't say, I don't agree with that. I think they should not get the vaccine, and they should die a slow, horrible, painful death. Read some of the reports of what it's like to die with COVID. And I wish that on everyone at this point. Not just the people who aren't getting the vaccine, the people who did get the vaccine and use it as an excuse to just like go do whatever they want. I wish that terrible death on you as well. And I mean, you're going to get your chance. So that's cool.
I mean, I don't want anyone to, I don't want anyone to.
No, I do. I want them to die. I want them to catch it and die. And I'm beginning my birth into my supervillainy, and I'm trying to figure out a way that I can infect people with a variant that will kill them, despite the fact that they're vaccinated. So even if it costs me my own life, I think I'd be willing to do it just to, as I die, just say, it was me.
Explain the plan to James Bond on the... You're probably wondering why it was me. You're probably wondering why you're here, Mr. Bond. Stroke your cat.
Well, I know. First of all, I couldn't have a cat because that would kill me just by itself.
You could have a hairless cat like Dr. Evil.
See, it depends because some of them are hypoallergenic, but not anti-allergenic, and they have like these little hairs. And I'm allergic to the hair. Some people are allergic to the spit. So when they clean themselves, that's when you get like allergies. I'm allergic to the hair itself. So any hair on a cat will trigger me.
I've never actually been in the situation where I've been able to test my allergies against a hairless cat.
So a girl at work had the Sphinx cat, the Dr. Evil cat. And I'm good apparently with that breed or that particular breed that looks like that. Also super cute. And like, it looks like a uncooked chicken. But no, it's not about being Dr. Evil and explaining it. What I would do is like, as I was on my own deathbed, I'd unintubate myself and I would just be like, go on Instagram Live and like, it was me. Oh.
Well, I lost the last little bit of it, but I'm probably for the best. I feel like sometimes Zoom is just sort of like, hey, let's just mute Rob a little bit here.
You don't need to hear it. It's fine.
Just let him have his moments.
Part of the reason, though, I want people to die is because we have the California recall election coming up, and I can't imagine that's going to go well at all.
Well, I mean, as it looks right now, like Newsom has like a 48% of people polled say that they're in favor of Newsom escaping the recall.
Yes.
With only like 38% saying that they support the recall.
And the remainder are saying, hey, I'm working class. I work 3 jobs. What is this about a recall election? I have no idea.
Why are you only calling on landlines? That's probably what the people who weren't called are saying.
Yeah.
I really don't know where I mean, like, fucking, it's not like Gavin Newsom is the greatest governor the state of California has ever seen. Like, you know, he's not a idiot, but he's also not great. But at the same time, like,
it's the best we can hope for in some cases.
I mean, like, yeah, like, I compared him to my dad, to Martin O'Malley, and it felt so like appropriate. Like,
Yeah.
he's not the worst. Like, he's not Trump, but he's also not like FDR. He's not like, you know, there's like everyone's sort of in a spectrum in between good and, you know, he's no Trump, but he's no Lincoln. There's a spectrum between those things. Like, he's somewhere in the middle.
And much like Martin O'Malley, I'm sure he thinks he can make it in the national politics scene, and he will fail if he tries to do that. Embarrassingly.
See, the thing I found really interesting was obviously Newsom his term ends next year.
Yeah.
So he'd have to run for re-election again next year if he wants to be governor again. But it seemed like in this poll, there were just like 48% of people say like Newsom can stay. But then of those 48 people, like 75% of them said like, no, but when it comes time to find another candidate, I will be doing that. Like, it's almost like
it's a referendum on the recall more than it is anything else.
It honestly feels more like the Democratic Party said, like, listen, anybody who wants a future in California politics better not run in this fucking recall election. Because I can't think of a single Democrat running. I'm sure
Caitlyn Jenner is a Democrat, but she's running as a Republican because somehow she's convinced herself she's a Republican.
Is she listed as a Democrat, though? I thought she was listed as a Republican.
No. But if you listen to everything she's saying, the reason she's not popular amongst Republicans is she's a Democrat. You're a Joe Biden Democrat, like a centrist to center-right Democrat.
Hold on. I'm going to have to look this up.
She's like you, like libertarian Democrat. Like, I'm socially liberal, but fiscally very responsible. And I think, you know, if a road gets washed out, that's God's will. We don't need to be replacing that road. The people who live there can replace it.
Yeah, she's running as a Republican.
Yeah. I say, yeah, she's running as a Republican because she knows better than everyone that, like, don't challenge the sitting governor if you ever want to have a future.
So this is funny, though, from the LA Times. Caitlyn Jenner, a longtime registered Republican, hedges on party status. I don't like labels, she says. Like, which is the California way of like, let's not get into this whole Republican Democrat thing. Just listen to my ideas, see if you like them.
Yes. I'm famous. That's the party I'm a part of. Thank you.
So how about that border wall, huh? I just, like, you know, I think the idea is that, like, the Democratic Party was just like, hey, anybody who's seriously considering running for any kind of office in the future, who is a Democrat right now, better not run in this recall election. And they all went fine. And then they'll just all run next year.
Yeah.
And somebody will beat Newsom.
He will. Depending on how he does in the recall, he may not run again. He may just say, you know, I'm going to pursue other, I'm going to write a book and run for president.
I'm going to take time to myself to travel with Beto O'Rourke around the country for voting rights.
I want to travel to all 50 states, and I want to give the opportunity for small businessmen to sew me into a suit in every city in this country.
I mean, O'Malley did his 2 terms, but also at the end of it, like, he wouldn't have gotten a third.
No.
Like, I think he, like, landed ass over tea kettle into that second term, and then he was just like, I better walk away while the getting's good, because I want to be president one day.
Well, I was going to say, who did he run against? So it was...
Because he was termed out, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he could run again. I'm just saying, like, he wouldn't have won a third term, hypothetically, you know?
Didn't he and Ehrlich trade off at one point?
No. Ehrlich was governor when he was mayor of Baltimore.
Okay.
But he only did, like, a quick stop as mayor of Baltimore. He wasn't, like...
Yeah.
I think he did... he might have done 6 years there, but I can't... I can't remember. Because the mayor and the... mayor and the governor are in off years from one another.
And the governor of Maryland and the president are in off years from each other as well. So like it's a very weird. You give up the job, but you can announce that you're running for the next seat at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I'm gearing up for my election next year for the other thing.
Yeah, so he was elected in 1999. He won in 2004 for re-election, but then also won in 2006 for governor. So he was re-elected as mayor of Baltimore, but for all intents and purposes, he was basically running for governor that entire time.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to imagine that this would be a lot weirder of a recall election if there was a serious Democrat involved, because I think a lot of Democrats would probably say, I am for recalling Newsom if there was another option to choose.
Yes.
You know, like I don't feel ballsy enough to be like, yes, let's recall Newsom and let's get Pete Faulconer in here. You know, like I'm not crazy. I just don't like Newsom that much. You know, like.
Well, I'm surprised the Republicans aren't doing better too with all of that QAnon support, which is, it's almost like blood, not quite like blood, because if you're a QAnoner, you will, not believe that your own children have gone through horrific experiences, but you do believe in the Republican values. So there's that.
Yeah. Story of a Parkland survivor with a QAnon father who believes that the school shooting that his son was involved in is all a hoax. All the kids that died, all his classmates who died, all crisis actors, the whole thing, the whole QAnon, like, it was all Jeffrey Epstein or whatever, whoever they blame for that. I can't keep track of like the scatterboard of QAnon ideals.
Can you imagine being that kid and being like, Dad, George came to our house. He was here year after year after year, and he died. Long game. Epstein, this whole cabal has been planning this thing for decades. I'm not surprised that they have their agents.
He hires them at 5 years old and has them live lives in the meantime. Like,
right before they false flag us. Listen, the real thing you should be upset about, son, is they knew this was going to happen for 20 years and did nothing about it.
Soros was behind it all. I just, in my mind, I keep thinking, we've brought this theory up before on the podcast where, like, a lot of people who are like anti-gay rights, for instance, usually don't have a lot of gay friends or people who identify as gay around them. They probably have a lot of
the opportunity.
They probably have a lot of gay friends who just never express any of those thoughts in front of that person. But I'm saying, like, there's a thing like, I probably met my first outwardly gay person. I mean, like, I'm sure I met people before that, but I mean, like, the first one that I was aware of was probably like early high school or something like that. Like, and then as soon as you met somebody, you were just like, oh, this is what that is. And then you like have an understanding and you have a compassion for it and an empathy. And then as soon as you realize that, like, people are saying shitty things about your friend who just happens to be gay, then a lot of people change their tune on. Like, it's hard to, like, have like a gay brother and then say, like, yeah, but I don't want them to have any rights. Like, it's like sort of, it makes it more difficult for a lot of people once they have like that personal impact. But this is
how
clearly
much you like your brother, because some people may be like, what? They don't need any rights. I think.
I mean, clearly there's awful people out there, but I'm saying, like, for this one, I just, it's so beyond the pale for me. I don't know exactly what this kid's situation is. I think he was just graduating high school, so he's 18-ish at this moment. I mean, my advice would be get out of the house and try and find a way to live on your own. I know that's not going to be easy, but like, the sooner you can get away from underneath your father, I think the better off you'll feel. And just the amount of like QAnon stories I've heard where it's just like, it ends up being like, I lost my entire family because they didn't believe the truth about what was going on out there. Like, maybe you need to have that moment of self-reflection and say to yourself, maybe it's me. Like, maybe if I'm saying things that are so controversial, like, this, oh, wait a minute, this guy over here, maybe that's why people are dropping off a little bit,
Fuck them. That's what I say. I think they, like I, have that moment of reflection, but much like Principal Skinner on The Simpsons, we're like, could it be me? Have I been wrong about this the whole time? No. It's the lefties. They're the wrong ones. I don't understand.
It's the children. The children are wrong.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, I've also been thinking about this a lot recently in terms of just like political ideology and how like it's been more and more team sports every year. We keep talking about this, but like I don't understand. Like, you know, if somebody wanted to have an argument over how much, you know, like different tax brackets should be taxed on a percentage basis, and Republicans want less and Democrats want more. And then we could have like a reasonable argument about why your numbers are this way and why my numbers are this way, and then come to some sort of consensus. But now it's not even about like numbers or political philosophy or what's right or what's wrong. It's just like, you know, somebody has put this talking point out there, and now I have to stand by it, even though it relates to nothing about the average American living life. Like, the fact that like critical race theory has become a conversation point, I think it's just like the stupidest fucking thing. Like, did you
ever think that was going to be a discussion?
No, I know. I read there was the one from the Texas legislature where they passed all the things that they're not allowed to teach in schools anymore, and like one of the things on the list was Martin Luther King.
Yep.
It's just like, no, we're just gonna skip that part. Like. Why are we off school today? We don't talk about it. It's against the law to talk about it. But enjoy your day off.
Well, no. So
grill up a hot dog.
What will happen? They will end up passing a new holiday for Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, and it'll be like Sam Houston Day, and we have off because of Sam Houston.
It's like it was the Civil War and the War of Northern Aggression.
Yep.
I remember the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoon where they had like the Southern general and he kept correcting the narrator.
Northern aggression.
Yeah. Speaking of insurrectionists, the January 6th commission is due to start today as you're listening to this. And I don't know. Are you feeling like there's any good that comes from this, Rob? I'm just feeling like I'm feeling a little bit of the this is politics as normal and it's all gonna fucking suck, and they're not gonna end up being able to like actually question anybody who will be able to give any additional insight. I'm sure there's tons of video that they've put together for, you know, sizzle reels, and you know they'll talk to the police officers and stuff like that. I think that's where they're starting tomorrow.
First witness is one of the cops. Is the cop who's on the TV, on the news all the time now.
Yeah.
And listen, I mean, like, if the Republicans were participating at all, I don't know, probably still not. But
well, I mean, like, you got Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who's the
I said Republicans, Corey. Like,
who are the two rhinos who decided to be a part of this thing.
They're Pelosi Republicans. They don't count.
Yeah, I know. Fucking Liz Cheney, the vice president's daughter, the Pelosi Republican. Just like, it's fucking Dick Cheney's daughter. Like, really? Like
I have no words, because I cannot comprehend how you could do this math. But like, again,
like, it's like imagine like when W and Cheney are like leaving the White House for the final time. If I like turned to you in a moment of quiet and I was just like, you're going to be rooting for Liz Cheney one day, and you're just like, fuck off. No way. Never. Like,
to be fair, I'm not really rooting for her.
Well, no, but like, she's at least the last bastion saving the Republican Party from like complete. There's 4 Republicans who are just like, no, you know what? I'm going to take a stand here. I'm going to be reasonable somewhat in the face of all this nonsense. You got like Liz Cheney, you got Romney, you got like Larry Hogan and Charlie Baker in Massachusetts, and
so there's the other congressman too who's going to stay on the panel. I want to say Krasinski, but that's not right at all.
Kinzinger.
Kissinger. There you go. Yes.
Well, I thought the real ballsy move of the whole thing was when Kevin McCarthy was given the opportunity to put names of Republicans that he'd like to see on the panel. He's just like, hey, you know what? Number 1, Jim Jordan. It's just like, oh, the guy who was actively trying to overthrow that guy. And the other one too. There's another Jim whose name I don't like, Banks or something like that. But like,
yeah, guys, you guys might end up defendants in this case. I'm not 100% sure we should have him on the jury.
Fucking Jim Jordan was a meeting in the White House, like talking about what they should do for the rally. So like, I'm more inclined to bring him as a witness than have him as a member of like throwing questions at. Also, I'm pretty done with Jim Jordan's questions because all he does is just like, it's like when you don't have anything, when you're you go to the Denny's and you have a coupon that expired yesterday for 12% off, and you have no legal ground to stand on to get that thing, but you're gonna get in front of the waitress's face and you're gonna be like, listen, you have to fucking honor this thing. It would be wrong if you didn't. And you're like, doing the sweating on the brow and like, like the disappointed looks and the what is this and all the whole thing, like just to try and guilt her into giving you that 12% off Denny's coupon.
Yeah.
It's like Jim Jordan's whole act. That and overlooking sexual assault at Ohio State.
Yes. I was gonna say Ron Paul. I'm in the or not Rand Paul. I'm in the same boat with. You're just being obstructionist now. There's nothing. You're not asking good questions. You're not doing it. It's just you're being obstructionist. So I'm done. We don't need to listen to you anymore.
I mean, like there were certainly Republicans along the way who are good at asking questions and are good in these hearings, but like it's all bluster for like people like Jim Jordan. Like I just don't like. Like I just feel like if he was on this panel, he'd just be like, "What relation do the moon people have to this whole thing?"
Well, I think that's why.
Where exactly did the Illuminati become a part of this whole? What's your personal relationship to George Soros? And I'm just like, get the fuck off here.
Pelosi said he is going to be a distraction more than he would be helpful, and she doesn't want him on the panel. So yeah, right, good. But by the way, Kevin McCarthy, or Mike McCarthy?
No, Kevin McCarthy.
Is it Kevin?
Mike McCarthy's the coach of the Cowboys.
There we go. Yeah. Don't want to throw him under the bus. But you had a chance to have a completely bipartisan commission where Pelosi didn't get to tell you no. You nominate your people. She nominates her people. She gets one more than you because she's in the majority. That's it. Everybody's on. You could have had that pact with your Jim Jordans and everybody you wanted. But you said, fuck her, no. And then she did it anyway. And then now you're like, well, I mean, I'm going to take my ball and go home. If they don't let our people play, I'm just going to take my ball and go home. And call Liz Cheney a Pelosi Republican. By the way, be glad that Dick Cheney is not, I don't know if he's still alive. He's got to be on his like 9th heart by now.
I think he's still alive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a vampire. He doesn't have a pulse because he's got that mechanical heart that just like lets blood flow. But be glad he's not a younger man, because if you called his daughter Pelosi Republican, he would shoot you in the face. And he's done it before, so don't test him.
Yeah, 80 years old. What the fuck are the Republicans going to do when Dick Cheney dies?
Shift to the right? The thing you never thought you would say.
Man, it would be great if it happened this week, so we could have like a live. We could reset next week and talk about it. But something tells me Dick Cheney dies this week, and there's a lot of Republicans that are figuring out how they're going to properly talk about him.
Yeah,
because it's like none of them have gone so far as like the Dick Cheney's a war criminal, like the left has. So they don't have that level of hatred, but they're like feuding with the daughter. Yeah. So there's got to be like a degradation to his status as a Republican. And the fact that he was like not a Trump Republican, like probably, like I imagine it becomes just like a week of like, well, Dick Cheney was a fake Republican.
But you gotta be careful because you might. I would say that Arizona went Democrat because people attacked John McCain so much.
Yeah.
So then you gotta be like, well, am I going to cut the legs out of these guys in Wyoming who are running against Liz by
all 7 of them?
Cheney a fake, calling Dick Cheney a fake Republican, or do we just like listen? The sins of the daughter do not cast shame on the father. I too have children I am ashamed of. They go to California universities and
Mitch McConnell up on the day is like, we lost a great man today. We all have shithead daughters. That's not his problem. Like,
maybe Mitch. It's got to be Kevin because I want him to like look across the aisle at her and just be like, "We all have children we're ashamed of." I'm sure Dick has that as well. And speaking of children we're ashamed of, I'm sure there's a lot of parents, Republican or not, who are watching their children go to trial now, or maybe just put in pleas because that's how most of these things are ending. But the insurrectionists are officially starting trial. And if you thought the insurrection was crazy, just wait till you see the trials where attorneys are talking shit about their clients. Like, does this look like a man who's in his right mind to you? Come on now.
Yeah. The famous one was the QAnon shaman whose lawyer was just like, my client's retarded or something like that, which was like, and now
he doesn't have a spear. He has a spear-shaped object that is a flagpole. Clearly,
it was funny. I was looking at an article that had a picture of him with what certainly looked like a spear with American flag tied to it. Like, perhaps it's a flagpole, but like given the right opportunity, you could absolutely use it as a spear. And like
just a toothbrush, my man. Still got a toothbrush head on it. Just because I shaved down the other end to make a knife doesn't make it any less of a toothbrush.
And his lawyer going front to the judge, just going like, "Listen, it's not a real spear." Like using a whole Crocodile Dundee defense. Like, is that not a knife? This is a knife.
That's a knife. It's just gonna get weirder and weirder. But I think the smart ones are taking deals, and they're getting like 6 months of probation, and
not only taking deals.
Remind everybody.
The first one that I read about, he got like 8 months in prison, which will become 4.5 months plus however long they throw probation on afterwards. But like,
and he's got months to get his affairs in order too. He doesn't report immediately. He's gone out on bail pending reporting. So.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's just. The thing I found funny about his conviction, I guess, is that his whole like what's the thing you do when you have a moment to like talk to the judge right before he sentences you?
Allocution.
Yeah, during his allocution, he was just like, I took the COVID vaccine. I believe Joe Biden is the president. He's like running through a list of things that he's done to like better his It's like, I've gotten into treatment. I don't drink anymore. Like this will never happen again.
Websites.
Never gonna be my wife again because I stopped drinking. That was always the thing that got me in trouble. It's so funny how we're gonna see a lot of people be sentenced here and just be like, listen, I realized the mistake I made. Like, it's been explained to me.
Joe Biden as a president is gonna be used at all of them. So
I promise I'll never invade the Capitol again.
Well, actually, it'll be used at all of them except for the MyPillow guy. As he has announced, Joe Biden will not be the president come August.
By the way, talking about some legal brass balls, Mike Lindell, who's already been sued by Dominion and is just like waiting for his outrageously huge what is it? When you say reported lies of thing
reported lies?
No, like it's not slander. Fuck.
Libel?
The libel lawsuit against Old Dominion.
Yeah.
Dominion Voting System. Sorry, not Old Dominion. They're a trucking company.
Not the university?
Not the university. Apparently, Mike Lindell, in the middle of his lawyers gathering more and more information for the libel lawsuit coming, said August 13th he will release evidence that will be so incendiary, such a bombshell piece of news, that Biden and Harris will resign the same day, clearing the path for Trump to return to the presidency. Mike Lindell, despite obviously spending a lot of time on finding evidence of voter fraud, has not spent a lot of time reading the Constitution.
Constitutional scholar.
Because this is how you get a President Pelosi. And let me tell you this. Even though at various times I've leaned right, I've leaned left, I don't know a single person, left or right, who wants a President Pelosi.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much the worst news for everyone. It's like,
no, that's not true. Wait. Nancy Pelosi would really like a President Pelosi.
Well, yes, she would, but nobody else would. Like,
Maybe Chuck Schumer would too.
I mean, maybe whoever would move up. Is Steny Hoyer number 2 right now?
Yes. Yeah.
So Steny
He would
Hoyer
like it.
might enjoy it, so he could be the Speaker of the House.
I mean, the people of the city of San Francisco would finally be free of her tyranny.
Oh, I mean, that would be wonderful. There's a couple. There's a couple people who would be happy, but for sure, it would outweigh the number of people who would be completely fucking miserable.
Yeah, no one who
Like-
no one who doesn't benefit directly would be in favor of that.
Like, listen, I'm not saying Joe Biden is the greatest president of all time. Every once in a while, he gives us a good line here and there, and I could just imagine like the day after on August 14th, he has a press conference and he's responding to the incendiary report from Mike Lindell, and he's just like, "Listen, I can't resign. Fucking, you want President Pelosi? Come on." It benefits nobody. It hurts everyone.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, Joe, please do that. That'd be amazing. Well,
Nancy in the back, like, what the fuck, Joe?
This is what I'm talking about. How mouthy is she? Can't even get through my press conference.
Always got to make it about Nancy. Nancy.
Well, now that we've covered all of the happy news, people are dying. COVID's still going on. Yeah, I guess it is good news that state of California, city of New York are both going to require vaccinations for public workers. So that's good.
Yes. Or either vaccinated or weekly test results.
Yes.
Is the line. So
you only have 6 days to infect your coworkers. So good luck.
I mean, I guess you have to carve out some sort of testing option for people who can't get the vaccine. Maybe.
Yes.
I think that's really what's happening here.
Well, it creates an exception because they, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, would say, I'm not able to get it, so I don't have to get it. And other people would point to that exception and say, well, if you're going to accept them for that, I need to have an exception for something else. So this way, it just creates a easy way of having an exception, but still relatively. I would have said daily tests, but that's me. That's just me talking. So.
I mean, that would just be a lot of trips to Curative for tests that don't even work properly. So.
Well, listen, I mean, you could choose not to take the tests.
It's better than nothing, I guess.
Job. Yeah, it's up to you.
Now the real thing here is a bunch of different unions apparently have it written in their contract that vaccinations are not required until the FDA officially approves it for full not just emergency use, but like completely signs off on the vaccines.
For instance, the NYPD, it is a suggestion because their agreement says that they don't have to take a non-FDA approved vaccine.
Right. And I think the LAPD and the school teachers here in Los Angeles are the same way. Yep. A lot of unions will have that written into their contract somehow. I guess the question is, like, this is obviously first of a couple steps. I think that people are going to there's restaurants here in Los Angeles that are only allowing vaccinated people in. There's a bar down on Spring Street.
Absolutely no proof. I mean, they're not asking for your vac card, so it doesn't matter.
Well, the Falls, apparently, which is a restaurant bar on Spring Street, is saying that they want to see either your vax card or the digital vaccine thing from state of California. So, like, it's also not like, like 100%. Like, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean that you can't get COVID or that you can't pass it on to somebody else. So, I mean, like, it's not like hey, everyone, there's a fun party for only vax people at the at the Falls that I'm gonna go to.
Well, I mean, that's surprising because I know a bunch of people who possibly were exposed to COVID who went to Rolling Loud and went to concerts in Vegas and have spread to the four winds. But listen, we're all vaccinated, so it's fine. Which again leads me to my discussion about how I'm on the verge of supervillainy. And maybe not COVID related supervillainy. Maybe I'll just kill a bunch of people and be like, this is because you're dumb. Just all of you are dumb. And I don't know if specifically the ones who died are dumb, but you're paying the penalty for society being dumb. Because what the fuck are we doing as a society?
The words of Rob's are his. And no, but I mean, like, I've heard a lot of things about people coming back from Vegas sick. And you know, when I went to Vegas, which was before they started rolling back restrictions, I got in the last day before the restrictions started getting rolled back. And I said to myself, I think this is still too many people. Now there's way more people there.
Way more people now.
And no mask restrictions and no anything. And, you know, I understand people who are just like, oh, I'm vaccinated, I'm free and clear, nothing can happen to me, and I'm fancy free. But, you know, like, also, there's nothing keeping somebody from, you know, like, Louisiana, where the cases are fucking horrendous right now, from saying like, oh, I'm getting out of this situation and going to Vegas for the weekend.
Yep.
And then just going to the same nightclub that you go to. I mean, like, you know, I guess my thought process at the very least is that there are certain things we have to do. Like, we have to every once in a while go to a store. We have to go to work.
Yep.
We have to do things. Let's try and do them as safe as possible. But, you know, like, if all I did was work in the grocery store and I got sick, I don't think anyone would be angry at me for like, you know, like, I just happened to get it. The
what if you only went to the store and work
and the strip club every night?
Well, no, and somebody you knew gave a ride home from the airport to people who decided to go on a vacation, like a multi-day drunken poolside vacation. Would you be upset at anyone in that case if you ended up with COVID?
I mean, I was giving people rides to and from the airport when before we had the vaccine, so
that was not wise.
Well, nobody said anything about it then. We tried the best we could. Like, that's the
thing.
I
guess it's the difference is when you think you're in a bubble, even though you're not because everybody's lying to you, it's a lot easier to convince yourself of things like that. I hate everyone. I hate literally every human being. And dear Gaia, will you please just send the one? And by the one, I don't mean like Neo. I mean like the one virus that'll just wipe us off this fucking planet. ELE, an extinction level event, is what we need.
Well, the real shame is that one day COVID will be an afterthought. We'll all be like, we got through that. Mm-hmm. And then Rob will still be like, fucking everyone be careful, it's still out there. There was one case in Madagascar yesterday.
No, and that's where the loss is, because you guys meaning all of you out there and Corey included, read like the BuzzFeed article, and then that's where you stop and you're like, I have a good grasp on the situation. And some of you read the Facebook headline that's referencing the BuzzFeed article and stop there. And fuck all of you. At least if you read the BuzzFeed article, you understand. What Rob does is Rob goes to the BuzzFeed article, and you may or may not know this, but at the bottom, like any legitimate news source, they list their sources. And if you go there, you could generally find a local story which is mentioning a hospital. Now, either that story itself will use the study as a reference, or there are publicly available resources for you to search the papers that are produced by studies at a hospital. So if you have the hospital name and you know what period, you can search and find the study. And then you can read the study and get the actual results from the study. And when you do that, that makes you into me. Because then you're reading the studies and you're like, well, BuzzFeed, the first story and BuzzFeed just legitimately have no idea what they're talking about. That's not what this study says. This study says something completely different. And we're all fucked. And everybody's just like, well, no, I saw a thing on BuzzFeed. We're totally fine. And I was a nihilist up until this year, but now I'm not.
I'm having total Obama shrug gifts over here, because I read many articles, I check many sources, and I read other articles that will either continue saying what I read in the article or deny it, just to see what is being said on all sides of this thing. And then
you read the study, and then that was produced from the hospital. That's what we call a primary source. Go to the primary source.
Right.
The primary source has no leaning one way or another. It just says what it says.
I read all kinds of things. Just because I'm not actually reading a PDF that's released by the hospital doesn't mean I'm not getting the information from the thing. I believe me.
No, it literally does mean that. It means you're getting someone's opinion of the information from the thing. That's what it means.
I feel like you say BuzzFeed News to me, like I just read a BuzzFeed headline and I'm just like, I'm caught up. Like,
Well, I brought that up because I literally had an argument with somebody where I had read the study that BuzzFeed was referencing, and they were arguing me points, and I was like going point by point. You read the fucking BuzzFeed article. I know what article you are talking about right now because I read that article. And then I also read the paper that was the source for that article that the guy who wrote the BuzzFeed article skimmed and got none of the actual evidence from, and then wrote an article about it. And then I made that argument, and they were like, well, no, I mean, I read the article on BuzzFeed, so I know what it said. What you shit? Please do not procreate. We need to end your bloodline here. If I need to red wedding this entire planet to stop most of these people from procreating, and if I need to go Anakin Skywalker on a world full of daycares to try and purge this pestilence that is idiocracy from everyone on Earth, I am willing to do that. I will be Christian Bale at the end of Equilibrium, just like walking out of the inner sanctum covered in blood, just like I did what I had to do.
Oh my God, it seems like it's time for Sportsball. I don't know what else.
It's just upsetting that nobody understands. And I get the joke Rob's going to say, there's one case in Madagascar. And I say, oh, there was 15 cases in Vietnam. And people say the same thing. But it's what the symbolic nature of the 15 cases that were studied in Vietnam means. It means there's another variant that has an 80% kill rate, which I get excited about because I want that one to go worldwide, especially here in the US. Immediately. In fact, if I could fly to Vietnam and get it and bring it here and just spray people in the face with a spray bottle, I would.
The thoughts of Robert, isn't it? How many times are we gonna have to do this episode?
I don't understand people. I don't understand people.
Well, just like dumb people is something you're just gonna have to get over because like that's always been the problem.
Or we can not castrate, because castrate's the removal of the organ. Chemically castrate all of them so they cannot reproduce.
See, this is
the scourge.
This is all the stuff that comes from the dictators that the world hates. So perhaps
I slowly feel myself slipping into fascism because I understand. I understand why. Because people looked around and said, this is a fucking mess. I need to find just like the best 10 people and then have them procreate a lot and try to wean all of these unnecessary genes out of the gene pool. Now, mine are mainly about intelligence and critical thinking and problem solving. Not so much, like hair color and eye color. I don't care about so much about that. But critical thinking and problem solving is so underrated and not used. And there's like a war on intellectualism. Like, if I get in an argument with you and you are using a BuzzFeed article as your point of argument, and I'm using the study that the BuzzFeed article is based on, you should be able to, and I would, if the situation was reversed, be like, well, you're probably right. I have no idea. But clearly, you have out-researched me. A good day, sir. You are the winner. But they have an inability to do that. And these people are procreating at a rate far greater than me, since my rate is 0 currently. What I'm saying is, if there is like a cadre of, 40 or 50 women who are willing to just like, create some sort of like Lebensborn program where you just all have my children. And then, after the first round, we'll have another round and like, see if we can get like 1,000 or 2,000 of my hyper intelligent, critically thinking children. And we'll have a Sparta thing. So like when they are dumb, when they're little, we just like throw them off a cliff and leave them to the lions and stuff. I feel like that's the way to go.
I just don't know sometimes. I don't know what to...
I'm just incredibly frustrated by everyone in the world. I don't... Listen, case rates are up. Deaths amongst people under 50 are up. 20 to 35 is the fastest growing death pool. So people who are vaccinated, 20 to 35, are dying at higher rates now. Now, not as high as the unvaccinated 20 to 35, but higher rates. This breakthrough rate of the Delta variant is about 40%. Death rate is up above where it was for the original Alpha variant. And I say something like that, and then I have people like sending me messages like, hot girl summer though. And I'm like,
Okay, all that is lost now. So let's that last little bit was lost to Zoom trimming, and let's just count our blessings.
Please
there.
don't procreate. Let it die with you. You let the hot girl summer die with you. In fact, if you could go out on a boat with some rich white guy and just have him murder you and throw you off the boat, that would be ideal.
Wow.
You get your Instagram picture, we get rid of you. I think that is the perfect fix to this system.
Well, I guess the only thing left now is Sportsball.
Wait, I wasn't ready with the transition. I wasn't ready. All right. Still in other news.
let's see if we can finish this up light, shall we? Let's see.
We're certainly not going to talk about how a team got rid of their racist name and is moving on to something else, right?
Well, I mean, that's moving on to the good news. Like, let's. So, Cleveland Indians, made famous by the Major League movies, and not for winning World Series. They
have one.
Yeah, in 1948. It's been a while. I don't know if you saw the movies. It's been a while. And I shouldn't make fun of. I mean, the Orioles haven't won since 1983.
Not quite as long.
Many teams have won World Series since then, so we shouldn't be picking on other teams, but also, I don't think Indians was doing you so good, so maybe we should move on to the new one. Wouldn't it be great if they won the World Series in their first year as the Guardians? Like, that would just be the...
How fast would the Redskins change their name? Like, what? All right, hey, get the vote out. Let's get this thing done. Let's do it. Call that guy with all the names. Let's get one from him and just be done with the whole thing.
The Atlanta Braves are just walking into the patent office like, yes, one name, please.
Doesn't matter. Whatever you got, I'm fine. What's available?
Yeah, sure. The Atlanta names sounds good. Let's move on. So the Cleveland Guardians is the new Indians.
Yes.
That will be what we refer to the Indians as from now on.
Well, as Tom Hanks pointed out, Cleveland has always been the most important part of the name. What comes after it really doesn't matter. The Guardians is just replacing the Indians.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Epic release video too,
and the fact that like all the logos and stuff like that basically are just using the same, the same basic structure to create the new Guardians identity. Yeah, it's fine. There's some people who, I mean, you know, wake up on Twitter any morning and you're gonna find 50% of people who are not happy about something.
What? And that doesn't sound like Twitter. What are you talking about?
And this was very much the same. But really, at the end of the day, it's fine. I don't give a shit. At least it's not the Washington Wizards. Like that was like fucking like, you know, every once in a while a team name comes out and you're just like, wait, what? Like, what were you thinking? At least it wasn't
Somebody
one of those.
just could see the picture of a wizard like holding a basketball on the jersey, and they're like, "This is gonna be magical. We got it."
It's almost like this. They came up with the name after playing a game of Mad Libs. It's just like, I need a word that starts with the W, a noun that starts with the W. It's like wizards. Oh, look at Barry with the big brain. No, but apparently, and I'm sure if any of our listeners are from Cleveland, they can fill us in if we're misinformed here. But there are statues on their bridges called the Guardians of Traffic. Okay. And apparently this is a thing in Cleveland. Like, this is one of those things that, like, if you live in Cleveland, then it's important to you. But if you live anywhere else in the country, you have no idea why it's so important. Probably like, you ever watch football with somebody who's never watched football before, and they're just like, why are the Packers have cheese heads? Like, why are they wearing pieces of cheese on their head?
I also know Roberto, yes.
You have to explain to them, like, oh, well, Wisconsin is really big in cheese. So... they wear cheese heads. It's like, yeah, well, why them specific? It's a Wisconsin thing. I can't really explain it to you any further than that. You'd have to live in Wisconsin to really understand their love of cheese.
And other teams have tried it, and none of them have been successful whatsoever. Just never works.
It'd be like if the Orioles just changed their name to like the Baltimore Old Bays or something like that. Like everywhere else, they'd be like, what? Huh? And then in Baltimore, they'd be like, "Oh my God, the Old Bays! I can't wait! I can't wait to get an Old Bays jersey."
By the way, have you heard about the PETA and Old Bay
Oh yeah, the
war
billboards.
that's going on?
Yeah, that's been going on for a while now.
Yeah, I just became aware, and it's amazing. And I can't remember the name of the company that makes Old Bay.
McCormick.
Yes. Bravo, McCormick. Bravo. I mean, like, listen, I am a carnivore, so I don't. I also support the idea of eating animals, but just to be like, here's your concept, and we're gonna use your concept, but not the way that you really want us to, is amazing.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, PETA put up a billboard that said, "Crabs are not food. I'm an animal, not food," or "I'm a living being, not food," or something like that. And then McCormick released an ad that looked exactly the same, except now the crab had Old Bay on it. It's like, okay, now I'm food.
Yeah. The crab was putting Old Bay on itself, and it said, "Okay, now I'm food."
like
I love it.
You know, I too am a carnivore. Perhaps not the person to ask. I'm sure PETA people would not appreciate.
Very upset.
Would not appreciate any of this, but like also like I feel like PETA needs to like casually let off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like so like there's deer hunting in Maryland.
Yep.
Because they populate too much.
Yeah,
And
you need to kill them all.
they will kill themselves. That's the problem. They're dumb. They kill themselves with reckless abandon if you don't kill them for them.
Yeah, like herds running into traffic and causing a pileup on Route 50, which gets in the way of our beach traffic, and we can't have that.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you know, I'm not saying that like I'm in favor of me personally killing deer, but I understand the greater good of there being less deer that allows the ones that live to like prosper. Like,
yeah.
And like, you know, like I don't know, like I've never seen a PETA thing saying like don't eat bugs. Like there's people who eat bugs, like who, you know, deep fry cockroaches and stuff like that. I wouldn't do it. I'm not in favor of it personally. People who eat cicadas.
I mean, they're not bad.
No, I mean, like I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm just saying I've never personally done it, but like I've never also seen a PETA thing going like, how dare you, how dare you eat these?
Well, the one I always remember is the big billboard with a bunch of animals on it, and then the line drawn between pigs and dogs.
Yeah,
and it was just like, does it make a difference where you draw the line? And it's like, well, yeah, it depends how desperate I am, because on a usual day, yeah, that's where I draw the line. But end of the world and things are getting a little desperate, that line starts to move to the right a little bit. And then I think I've said this on the podcast before. Let's assume that there is a human being on the end of that line. I would not go too far. If I was hungry enough, that human being also falls on this side of the line. I'm just saying.
Fucking Rob like a Brazilian soccer team over here.
Listen, I will refuse to go hungry for one day. If our plane is going down, I will be hitting you with the meat tenderizer in the Old Bay on the way down. Like, you are not going to make it, my friend. I am sorry.
I wonder if that reference is lost to history. There's like
100%. Nobody knows what we're talking about.
Some 20-year-old like, what? It wasn't even it wasn't the Brazilian team, right? It was like the
Uruguayan soccer team.
They
got stuck in the Andes.
What soccer team ate itself? What soccer team ate each other? There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Uruguay. Uruguay Air Force?
Corey, just wait a second. Just imagine that you're
walking around with this
all the time. Yeah, Uruguay is just hard to pronounce, so it's like better to say Brazilian soccer team, because they're like, because soccer in Brazil, it makes sense.
I just couldn't remember which one it was specifically, but
yeah.
So, it was a rugby team too. It wasn't even a soccer team.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that hardly counts.
They were planning on eating some other people during the game, so you know.
Kidding. Of course, it wouldn't be a Sportsball without mentioning that the Summer Olympics are happening, and there you go. We mentioned it. Now we can move on.
How much have you watched of the Summer Olympics?
Zero of it.
You have Peacock?
I do, but I I really couldn't give a shit less about that. Like, I
Yeah.
just really don't care right now. And I think that what's hurting my brain right now with the Olympics is that, like, to me, the joy of the Olympics is you do some sort of sport like badminton or, you know, like fucking handball or something that doesn't have like.
I watched a little bit of handball. I don't understand the rules. I thought I understood the rules. I don't understand the rules at all.
But I'm saying, like, you know, you spend your life training to be like an Olympic curler. I know that's the Winter Olympics, but I mean, like, there's no professional curling league where you can make $30 million a year being a pro curler. You know,
yeah,
like,
there is, but not making 30 minutes.
Yeah, there's no Alex Rodriguez of the curling world. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So there's nothing that these guys can like fall back on once the curling end. Like, once they've reached the end of their Olympic time.
Yeah.
And some of these sports, like if you're a gymnast, your window is really short. So if you just happen to be, you know, 20 years old when the first Olympic, or like when you qualify for your first Olympics, you know, you might not get another shot. Like you might be too old at 24 to compete again. And I just feel so bad about like.
There was a gymnast from Bulgaria or Romania or somewhere in Southeast Europe who has been competing in every Olympiad since 1992. She's in her 40s.
Yeah.
And she made her national team. And everyone was sharing the story. And I was just like, to me, what I hear is there are no gymnasts in this game. Because, Simone, this is her like last shot. Like, she's 22 and she's going to age out of the U.S. team by the next Olympiad. So good for, I mean, this is her last shot. She's going to make it work. She'll be on like national teams, maybe. She'll like do the national competition and take like silver and then just like graciously say, I'm not going to go to the Olympics or whatever. But yeah, she's had two.
But not even like a Simone Biles. Cause like Simone Biles can like hypothetically get a Wheaties box, you know, and get $1 million for being on the Wheaties box. And that's some form of money that will allow her to live comfortably for the rest of her life after the sport is over for her. Yeah. I'm talking about like, you know, the people who are like shot put or something like that. There's no like pro shot put league where you make big money. So like your shot at the Olympics might be this one time where you can qualify. You've been training your entire life and then you fucking, you know, get a positive COVID test on the first day of the Olympiad. And then you're gone. It's done. It's over. You're kicked out of the Olympics. And like, you know, I'm not saying that let the COVID positive people compete. I'm just saying, like, I just feel so awful for a person who like did everything right, trained every single day of their life, like made sure that they ate properly. Like, could you imagine like if you became like you know, like one of those fitness impresarios who was like so concerned about like, you know, like I eat exactly 4 ounces of chicken with every meat, like, you know, and you're like measuring things out. You're our buddy Burns. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, you get hit by a bus or something like that, and that's how you go, and you're just like, man,
I wasted so much time. Why?
If I knew, I would have had a cheeseburger. Like, I would have given myself joy every once in a while. Like, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, like, speaking of PETA people, I'm sure they think the same thing. It's like, why didn't I have a cheeseburger?
Just on the front of the bus, it's like, I never had a hot dog.
But going back to curling, I think the thing about curling, though, is that it's like the summer camp for NFL. You might not make a team, but you were planning on going back and moving couches next week anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anything is a good surprise. We got a paid trip to go to some place and do this sport. Also, the training has been like getting drunk with your buddies and doing curling every Saturday night, and
Molsons and brooms.
Yeah, it's like, how much did you really train for this? And you were already planning on moving. Hey, we get to stay for another week because we have the finals. Hey, great! I'll call my boss and tell him I can't be there now on Monday. All right, it's like, okay. the only thing that's interesting to me is that the new Olympic sports, like skateboarding, is now an Olympic sport. Like, can you imagine if like I had, you know, like I skated when I was in my older days. You can't even skate. As Roberto likes to say. But wouldn't it be funny if, like, you know, the first 32 years of my life, I'm just like, you know, like, oh, I had a good run as a semi-pro skater. I guess I'll retire, and you let yourself get a little fat, and then all of a sudden you find out the skating is an Olympic sport, and you're just like, fuck me. Like, I should have just kept going for a couple more years. Also, I don't know how I haven't seen any of the events because I also don't care. But yeah, how are they grading it? It's not God. It can't be X Games style. But I guess maybe it is like that. Just somebody watches and gives you a score.
Yeah, I mean, there's judges and other, like gymnasts have judges, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And like boxing has judges, so I mean, like there's sports that have judges that just grade the stuff.
Yeah. Who do you get to judge that though? The Tony Hawk judging? Because if it's not, I don't. It's illegitimate. I don't care. No.
It would be Tony Hawk, but nobody knows who he is. Nobody can recognize his face.
Literally in the airport, they were just like, you don't look like somebody who needs to be here for the Olympiad. We're sending you back home.
Real quick. Sorry. Tony Hawk related story. Just because I find it interesting. A 16-year-old nailed a 1080, by the way, in skateboarding. Yeah. So people who don't know, invert skateboarding, where they go up and down the ramp. Tony Hawk is world famous because he landed the first 900, which is a 900-degree rotation.
The 1080 minus a half a turn.
Yeah. 2.5 turns.
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 turns. So Tony Hawk has been eating lunch off that ever since.
Yeah.
And he's landed the 900 a couple more times.
He is Tony Hawk because he landed that when he was like 22 or whatever.
It was later than that, but yes, yeah.
He's the king of skateboarding because he did a thing that everyone said was impossible. You're never going to be able to do it. And he did it.
And a couple people have done it since. It's not like he's the only person who's ever done it, but the number is very small. It's not like it's not like Perfect Game where there's like, 79 people who've landed the 900. It's very small. And then this 16-year-old kid fucking lands a 1080 in front of Tony Hawk. And of course, Tony Hawk has to be there and be gracious and like slap his hand and be like, like, oh man, you did it. I can't believe it. But at the same time, you got to imagine Tony Hawk's just like, this fucking kid. God damn it. This little shit ass motherfucker nailing a 1080 in front of my face.
To be fair,
before the Olympics.
Tony Hawk was doing it on an actual skateboard made of wood with like polyurethane tires. And this kid is doing it on like a piece of science technology that is meant to allow him to do a 1080. So come on,
that's true. I always.
Hey, kid, by the way, I still have my board I did a 900 on. Let's see you pop a 900 on this. All right.
It's got fucking guardrails on the side. It's like it's just like when you see footage of like football from the 1920s and you're just like, oh man, look at them. They all run funny. It's like, yeah, because their cleats are made of wood. Like, they're not like real shoes. Like
they can't cut. It's not at all. It's just like up and down the field. That's all we're doing.
They put nails through the players' feet. Like so there
cleats would nails down to the bottom of shoes.
All right, so that's your Olympic update. That's Sportsball.
All right,
you know where you can go for great Olympic coverage.
Where's that?
OTheAnthem.com. Corey to OTheAnthem.com with the Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's the number again?
443-219-7595. You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm, and at Legends25 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Including the new video you put up last week, right?
Well, so hold on a second here. I'm trying to see if I can get this to.
Oh, wow. We are moving. Okay. Yeah.
There's the YouTube. There's the YouTube that I just uploaded. I just got to get the album art and stuff like that on there, and we're good to go. So
another 6 weeks. Got it. Yep, another 6 weeks, and we'll.
So by the time people are listening to this, there is a YouTube video up. It's all about my life with ADHD and ADHD in the film industry and ADHD during the time of COVID. So.
It's my life, now or never.
It might be interesting out there, seeing as more people in film are trying to be more inclusive of people who have mental handicaps. So, just trying to put it out there and maybe help somebody. And like when I was in first grade when I got diagnosed, somebody would have said like, "Hey, don't worry about it. You can work in the film industry if you have ADHD." I would have been like, "Oh, thank God." like, I'm not gonna be, because my fear and concern was like, like they're gonna have me flipping burgers at McDonald's or something like that. But if I knew that I could actually do something with my life, then I would have been much happier. So hopefully that helps
How would
somebody.
you feel if they also told you that flipping burgers would pay better than you get paid working in Hollywood?
Not everybody, but I gotta tell you, I gotta tell you about some gigs. But yeah, that's it for me. Go check out the new video.
And of course, you can find me at Robert and Cheek on our social networks, robertandcheek.com for links to all the stuff I'm working on. YouTube video didn't get edited because, and I highly recommend this, I started cleaning my apartment and I put on Hoarders. And then while I was cleaning, I was binging Hoarders, and I just got enveloped in an entire day of like, I rearranged my apartment, I cleaned everything. It's just really, really good inspiration. But I had planned on like finalizing the edit and getting it up and doing all the stuff. I didn't do it because I was cleaning. So I highly recommend doing that, even if you are trying to distract yourself from other work. It's worthwhile because today it feels like a completely different apartment. I woke up in a different apartment today, and that is very encouraging, that we are on our way out of COVID. I mean, also everybody being out at Rolling Loud and shows all over the place and traveling again. It really feels like we're on the other side of this, and not like we are headed towards a major disaster where all of our YouTube videos won't matter because we won't have internet access, and the end of humanity as we know it. So, keep up that existential non-dread.
Fun. Anyway, I think we've done good here today. Nah, let's strike that. Strike that. We did nothing good.
We've done something.
I was trying to keep this optimistic and like enjoyable, and Rob's over here really fucking putting the screws to everybody.
I mean, just trying to plan out a genocide, not based on any religion or race or sexual orientation, but just
you can find more at O The Anthem.
Anyway, we've done something. I don't know if it's good, but as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, yep, I had it right the first time. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a good week, everybody.
Show ends now.
I mean, no, we could. I can get more deep into
now
my genocide plan.
Stop.